Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Courtney Ryan, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over red flags in men that women always notice. I think most men assume that red flags are just the obvious things, being rude, lying, cheating, you know the drill. But what really makes a woman lose interest are the subtle behaviors men sometimes don't even realize that they're doing. If you've ever been left on red or felt like a woman just lost attraction out of nowhere, it might be, emphasis on might be, there could be other reasons too, but it might be because of one of these overlooked red flags that I'm going to talk about in today's video. I want to emphasize before we get started, these are not about being a bad guy, but they're more about things that make a woman question whether or not you are confident, whether or not you're self-aware, or actually ready for a relationship, for example. So let's get into it. The first one here is overselling yourself. Overselling yourself in dating is one of the quickest ways to lower attraction, yet tons of men fall into this trap without even realizing that they're doing it. They treat dates like job interviews, rattling off their accomplishments, emphasizing how well they treat women, or constantly pointing out how different they are from other guys. Even subtle little statements like, "I've always been a gentleman," or "I would never treat a woman like that," might seem like they would work in your favor, but they often have the opposite effect. Instead of making you look like a great catch, they make you seem insecure, like you're trying to convince someone of your worth or trying to convince them of something that just isn't true. The truth is, confidence isn't about telling people how great you are. It's about carrying yourself in a way that naturally makes them just see it for themselves without you having to say it yourself. The most attractive men don't need to sell themselves because their actions, presence, and energy already do the work for them. They listen more than they talk, they engage with a genuine curiosity to get to know people, and don't feel a need to prove their value because they already know their value. There's no need to prove anything. When you're secure in who you are, you don't have to highlight your good qualities. They come through effortlessly in the way that you carry yourself. From a woman's perspective here, women are naturally drawn to men who exude a quiet confidence, not those who try to market themselves like a product. If you're constantly trying to prove that you're a good guy or that you stand out from other men, it's going to suggest that you're seeking external validation rather than simply just being yourself. The most attractive thing you can do is shift your focus from impressing to connecting. So instead of trying to craft the perfect image, focus on being present, engaging in meaningful conversation with her, and allowing your character to just speak for itself. When you stop overselling yourself, you're going to give women the space to genuinely appreciate who you are and connect with you without feeling like they're being sold some sort of pitch. Okay, number 2 here is how men handle setbacks. How a man reacts when things don't go his way says far more about him than how he acts when everything is smooth sailing. Some men seem composed and easygoing when they're in total control, but the moment that they face rejection, competition, an unexpected challenge, their entire demeanor totally shifts. They might get defensive, shut down, lash out, or even overcompensate with arrogance. Honestly, anything to mask their discomfort, which is a huge turn off. This kind of emotional volatility is a major red flag because it shows a lack of resilience and maturity, and women notice this kind of thing. Women notice when a man crumbles under pressure or lets minor inconveniences totally ruin his mood, and it raises concerns about how he would handle bigger issues in life and in relationships in the future. True strength is not about avoiding failure or frustration. It's about managing those moments with composure and adaptability. A man who can take setbacks in stride rather than reacting impulsively or emotionally is far more attractive because it shows he is secure, level-headed, and capable of handling real-life challenges. A man who can stay cool, calm, and collected is so incredibly attractive, and women absolutely notice that. My next one here might surprise you, but that is being too neutral about everything. Men who avoid taking a stance, whether it's about where they're going to eat, what they're going to do, or even deeper topics, come across as passive and completely unengaging. Saying, "I don't care, whatever you want," all the time might seem like you're being easygoing, but it actually makes you look indecisive and uninterested. Women don't want to make all of the decisions. They want a man who can express opinions and lead when necessary. Even something as simple as saying, "Let's try that new sushi spot," instead of, "I don't know, what do you think," is going to make a difference. Even if she doesn't want to go there, at least suggesting something helps. And she should be doing the same thing. I don't think it's fair for one person to make all the decisions all the time. It's incredibly exhausting. And as someone in a relationship, I think it's important for both people to contribute. So that's something to keep in mind as well. I'm not saying this needs to be on you all the time. But at the same time, some men take emotional detachment to an extreme, thinking it makes them seem cool or mysterious to act uninterested or say, "I don't know," all the time. They never express excitement, they avoid deep conversations, and they refuse to show any sort of vulnerability. Instead of coming across as intriguing, it actually makes you come across as emotionally unavailable, which to a great woman is a total red flag. Women don't expect a man to spill his life story on a first date or anything like that. There's no need for that, gentlemen, just FYI. But they do notice when someone is so closed off that a real connection feels nearly impossible. Being able to make a decision, having an opinion, and standing by it, even if it might be different from hers, and actually caring about what you're doing is attractive. Again, to great women. One thing you will not catch me being neutral about is the importance of a good skincare routine, like the one from today's sponsor, Tiege Hanley. Too many men aren't doing this, and it legitimately only adds a few minutes to your daily routine. Tiege Hanley simplifies the process. They provide you with all the products you need and nothing that you don't. I recommend you start with their level 1 system, which comes with all of the basics: a daily face wash, an exfoliating scrub, an AM moisturizer with SPF 20, and a PM moisturizer. This isn't something that you want to put off because prevention is key. Your future self with skin that looks better than every other guy who was a little too neutral about having a skincare routine will be thankful. Tiege wants to make it a no-brainer for you to get started on your skincare journey. And because Tiege is sponsoring this video, they're offering you guys an amazing deal. Just click the first link down in the description to get 40% off of your first skincare system and a free gift. Plus, as a member, you'll also get 20% off for life. Tiege always has great gift options, one being the silicone body scrubber. I actually use one of these too instead of a loofah, and it is so much better. So click that first link down in the description and get started on your skincare journey today. Okay, my next one here is the performance self-awareness. Now, self-awareness is only attractive when it's backed by action. Some men acknowledge their flaws, which is a good start, but in a way that feels more like a performance than genuine self-improvement. Saying things like, I know I overthink everything, or I talk too much, might make a guy seem introspective, but if there's no real effort to change, it just becomes an excuse. It's obvious when self-awareness is being used as a shield or a performance rather than a tool for growth, almost like they expect to be given credit just for simply recognizing the issue. Now, I do think recognizing an issue that you have is a good place to start. I think that's how you grow and evolve, is by first recognizing that there's something to grow and evolve from, right? But if you're always just saying these things and it's more of a performative thing or a way to make people think that you're working on yourself when in reality you're doing nothing to change that thing that you keep saying, well, red flag. A guy who constantly overanalyzes situations and then says, I can't help it, that's just how I am, isn't actually improving. He's just labeling the problem and then expecting other people to accept it. Women do this too, as I'm sure a lot of you know. But true self-awareness isn't about making a disclaimer for your bad habits. It's about actively working to change them. Women respect men who can, yes, acknowledge their weaknesses, but they're even more attracted to those who can take the steps to improve and work on them. A man who not only recognizes his shortcomings, but also actually puts in the effort to grow is going to show emotional intelligence, maturity, and the ability to evolve, qualities that are far more appealing than just empty self-reflection, which leads me into my next point here, which is all talk, no action. You don't need to be ultra successful to be attractive, but you do need to back up your words with some sort of action. Women notice when a guy constantly talks about his ambitions, whether it's starting a business, getting in shape, making big career moves, but never actually take steps to make those things happen. It's one thing to be in progress, it's another to always be in planning mode, constantly talking about what you want to do without ever following through. Over time, this makes a man seem all talk, no substance, and that is a major red flag. To great women specifically. It's going to signal a lack of discipline, direction, and even integrity, because if he can't keep the promises he makes to himself, how reliable will he be in a relationship? Will he be able to keep the promises that he makes to me? Just something to think about. A man who quietly works towards his goals, even in small ways, is far more attractive than one who just talks about success without putting in the effort. Instead of saying, oh, I'm gonna start going to the gym soon, just go. A man like this might also say things in a relationship like, yeah, I really want a serious relationship, but the timing just hasn't been right. Yet maybe he keeps dating casually and making no effort to commit. Or maybe he says, I'm the kind of guy who always puts his woman first, but his actions show that he's inconsistent, unreliable, or self-centered. He might also say, I'm working on myself so that I can be the best partner possible, but there's no real growth, just empty talk about self-improvement like I mentioned in my last point. These kind of statements sound good in theory, but when there's no action behind them, women are going to quickly realize that They're just words. We can say a lot of things, but what's really impressive is when a guy can back up what he's saying with actual action. Actions speak so much louder than words, and that absolutely applies in this scenario. A man who actually values commitment, effort, and self-improvement doesn't need to keep announcing it or telling people about it. He simply proves it through his consistency and his follow-through and his actions. Ambition without action is kind of meaningless, and a guy who constantly talks about his future without taking any real steps towards it starts to come across as unreliable or even a little bit delusional. Great women want a man they can trust to follow through with things, not someone who's always stuck in potential but never delivers. It's a little bit delulu when you think about it. Okay, my next one here is the over-complainer. Constant negativity isn't just a bad habit, it is a major red flag because it's going to signal a deeper mindset issue. Everyone faces challenges, but the way that someone talks about them is going to reveal a lot about their outlook on life. If he constantly complains about work, relationships, or how unfair the world is without ever taking responsibility or trying to improve his situation, it shows a lack of resilience and emotional maturity. Women pick up on this very quickly, and instead of coming across as someone who's just venting, it makes a guy seem stuck in a cycle of self-pity. I see a lot of this in comment sections, specifically a lot of the time my comment sections. Just saying, maybe think about that before you type your little comment. Negativity also drains the energy of those around him. A man who always sees himself as a victim, saying things like, people always screw me over, or I never get what I deserve, isn't just frustrating to be around, it's uncomfortable, and he also creates a dynamic where others feel like they have to constantly lift him up. No one wants to be in a relationship where they're always playing the role of a therapist or an emotional crutch. It's not cute. Now, that doesn't mean men have to be fake positive all the time. Struggles are a natural part of life, and talking about them is normal and can actually really help. But the difference is in the approach. Are you looking for solutions, or are you just dwelling on what's wrong? Women are attracted to men who face difficulties with a mindset of growth and problem solving rather than one of just helplessness. It's not about just pretending everything is fine, but it's about showing that when things go wrong, you have the ability to handle them instead of letting them completely define you or dwelling on them. And my last one here is low value social media activity or inconsistency. Women notice when a man's online behavior doesn't align with the way that he presents himself in real life. And one of the biggest red flags that I just have to talk about in this video is when he follows and engages with a ton of thirst trap accounts, women who post highly suggestive or provocative content. The same way it would be a red flag to a lot of you guys if a woman was posting that type of content. While some men might just brush this off as social media, it actually can reveal a lot about your mindset and your priorities. For one, it's going to signal a lack of discipline. A man who constantly consumes thirst trap content is essentially broadcasting that he is easily distracted by surface level temptation. It suggests that he lacks self-control or an ability to focus on what truly matters. Women are naturally drawn to men who have direction and discipline in their lives, whether that be through their career, fitness, relationships. If a guy can't resist engaging with every overly sexualized post within his feed, it makes women question his ability to be intentional in other areas, including his commitment to a woman. And here's what I mean by inconsistency. A man who claims to want a high value, meaningful relationship, but constantly fills his feed with half-naked influencers is going to send mixed signals. It makes women wonder if he actually values deeper qualities in a partner, or if he's just saying that because it sounds good. It also raises the question of whether he's truly attracted to the type of woman that he's pursuing in real life, or if he secretly wishes he were with someone else. Maybe an Insta baddie, I don't know. But beyond all of that, it can come across as a low-key need for validation. Constantly liking and following thirst trap content is going to suggest that a man craves attention from women, even if it's just in a passive, online way, from women who probably don't even know he exists, but I digress. A confident man doesn't need to engage with digital breadcrumbs of female attention. He's secure in himself and doesn't rely on social media interactions for a quick ego boost. I've seen this become especially problematic within relationships where continuing to engage with thirst traps can feel completely disrespectful. Now, I'm not saying women expect you to be blind to other attractive people, but they do notice when a man's social media activity might suggest that he is still seeking external validation. And this isn't necessarily about insecurity, but more so respect, especially when you're in a relationship. But at the end of the day, men who have fulfilling dating lives and confidence in themselves don't need to chase the illusion of intimacy through social media or OnlyFans or whatever they're doing. They're too busy living real life, building relationships, and connecting with women in meaningful ways. A man who moves with intention, isn't easily distracted, and doesn't need digital validation is far more attractive than one who is constantly double tapping on bikini selfies. And again, I know a lot of you would think the same thing about women who are posting that type of content. So just something to think about if you're saying you want one thing, but your actions are kind of saying that you want something else. Now, to wrap this video up, none of these red flags make you a bad guy, but they do make a woman question whether you're someone that she could respect, rely on, or build something with. The good news, though, is that every single one of these things is fixable. The men who recognize these overlooked red flags and make adjustments will instantly set themselves apart from the rest. So guys, that is all I have for this video. If you liked it or found it helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to be in the loop for when I release new content. If you haven't already, be sure to follow me over on Instagram at Courtney Christine Ryan. I love connecting with all of you guys over on there as well. Let me know down in the comments some other red flags that men do. I would love to get a conversation going down below to hopefully help some other guys out as well. Also, let me know some red flags for women. Let's try to keep it productive as this video was. We're not trying to shame anybody or make anybody feel bad, but I think just sometimes highlighting these things that maybe you haven't thought of before, or maybe how they come across to the opposite sex could be incredibly helpful. So let us know down below and share if you are open to doing so. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.